here is the Deputy President of the EFF, Komisa Floyd Niko Shibabu, and then in the middle is the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Economic Freedom Fighters. We, as all of you are aware, going to speak to the Marikana Commission report, but during the question and answer session, you can of course include all other matters that are of interest to yourselves. So we will speak to everything else that you have interest in, but we are going to initially speak only to the Marikana Report. So without any further ado, I hope that everybody is ready. I'm going to hand over to the Commander-in-Chief to take us through the statement, and we will be circulating it in a bit so that you are able to run it. Thank you very much. CIC.
Thank you very much. The Economic Freedom Fighters knows the release of the report of the Commission of Inquiry on the massacre of Marikana by the ANC government in Marikana on the 16th of August 2012. It should be stated from the beginning that as this generation of economic freedom fighters, we are never using the massacre of Marikana mine workers as a matter of political football in the political parties at play. Long before Marikana Massacre happened, and even before the economic freedom fighters assumed an independent and revolutionary organizational form, the core of the EFF leadership was at the forefront of struggles of the mine workers in the whole country, including in the Platinum Belt. That is why, prior to massacre of workers by the ANC, workers in Marikana called upon us to come and assist them in the same way we had assisted workers in Impala Platinum Mines, Aurora, Goldfields in the West Rand, Platinum Mine workers in Sikukunu, Asbestos ex-mine workers in Puruman, and in the Eastern Cape and many other areas where we provided leadership. Of all political parties that have spoken thus far, the EFF is the only one that can legitimately speak on behalf of the mine workers. We therefore wish to make summary observation of the report of Judge Palam and speak to the way forward on what is to be done. Although the Commission obscured the question of premeditated mass murder, the events recounted in the Marikana Commission report on activities of the 14th, 15th and 16th August of 2012 revealed vividly that the massacre of mine workers in Marikana was premeditated mass murder of workers on both Scene 1 and Scene 2. Whereas is the case of Scene 2, the actions of the police represented barbaric criminality reminiscent of apartheid butchers who killed defenseless people even when they were surrendering and were not posing any danger. In the words of the Nkosikona Majuba, a mine worker in Marikana who was Scene 2, the police officers started shooting the mine workers with long and short firearms. Some mine workers put their hands in the air to show they were range fighting, attacking the police officers, but they were shot. The Commission report confirms that Police General Mbombo spoke about blood spilling referred to the 16th August 2012, the D-Day, and even organized mortuary vehicles prior to premeditated mass murder of mine workers. The very fact that tactical response team of the SAPS was deployed to Marikana with live ammunition rounds is evidence enough that the intention and plan was to shoot to kill. Judging by the speech of Police Commissioner Pierre and Minister of Police after the premeditated killing of workers, addendum below, they certainly were aware of and approve of this mass killing of workers. What this means is that the ANC government, with the influence of business politicians, in particular Cyril Ramaphosa, premeditated the killing of mine workers in Marikana on the 16th of August 2012. They engaged in what in law is known as conspiracy to commit murder. The rush to end the protest by mine workers was largely informed by political considerations, particularly the political fear that the Commander-in-Chief of the Economic Freedom Fighters was going to lead a process which will amicably resolve and diffuse the stalemate between mine workers and the management of Lone Mill in a similar way he had done in Impala Platinum mine strikes of rock drill operatives, where the intervention of the CIC led to the reinstatement of 29,000 dismissed workers in February and March 2012. This fact is confirmed by second part of Chapter 9C6 of the Marikana Commission report, which says, Lieutenant General Mbombo referred to the fact that Mr. Ramaphosa had presided over the hearing of the appeal brought by Mr. Julius Malema against the decision of the African National Congress to expel him from the party, and that Mr. Ramaphosa was, she put it, very strong in terms of the decision made. She went on to mention that Mr. Malema had intervened in the dispute of Impala and that the police had been able to manage the situation there after his visit. She stated in a discussion with the National Commissioner had been concerned about the fact that if once again it came across that Mr. Malema diffused the situation, it will seem as if he has taken charge of the mines. She added that because of Mr. Malema's known position that the mines should be nationalized, it had a serious political connotation and that had to be taken into account, which they needed to find a way of diffusing. She said that she had told her people that they needed to act in such a way that they killed the state. Mr. Mokoena agreed with this statement and said immediately, yes, Mr. Ramaphosa, workers' murderers, played a central role in influencing the police to take concomitant action against workers he had described as criminals in the email he sent to the Lonmin management. This further confirmed by the first part of Chapter 9C6 Commission report, which says, Lieutenant General Mbombo also mentioned that when she spoke to the Minister of Police, Mr. Muteta, he had said that Mr. Ramaphosa was calling him and pressurizing him. In this regard, she said that the National Commissioner had asked her the previous evening who the shareholders were, and that she had replied that she did not know, but that the Minister had mentioned Mr. Ramaphosa, whereupon the National Commissioner had said that she got it. Chapter 9C8, the Commission agrees with the following submission made by the evidence leaders in this respect. She was unable to provide a coherent and compelling explanation for the sentiments she expressed and testified under cross-examination that the call from Ramaphosa to the minister did not influence her decision-making in respect of Marikana. She testified that any citizen is entitled to phone the police for assistance. We submit that this explanation is unconvincing, to say the least. From J192Bs, it is evident that General Mbombo was at pains to convey to Mr. Mokoena that the person who telephoned the minister was politically influential. Under cross-examination, she was unable to explain why she did say this if it was irrelevant. Furthermore, the Commission accepts the following facts about General Mbombo as presented by evidence leaders. We submit that Exhibit J192B clearly shows that Lieutenant General Mbombo took into account irrelevant political consideration in approaching the situation at Marikana. She did not want mining companies to be seen to be supporting AMCU. She did not want mining companies to undermine NUM. She was responding to what she perceived as pressure from Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, whom she considered to be politically influential. She wanted to end the violence before Mr. Malema arrived in Marikana and was given credit for diffusing the situation. The Commission further says that it is in full agreement with the submission of evidence leaders, Chapter 9C10, that on the evidence, the Commission should make finding that General Pierre was complicit in engaging in discussion where political factors were inappropriately considered and discussed in relation to policing the situation at Marikana. This is inconsistent with our constitutional and statutory regime, which requires policing be conducted in an impartial and unbiased manner. It should be noted that part of the political consideration which the police considered were the current calls by politicians who held private interest in Lonmin, Mr. Cyril, workers' murderer Ramaphosa, and the Minister of Police, Natim Ted. It is therefore unthinkable that after all these findings and revelations, the Commission were to exonerate Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa from the fact that he influenced police to take murderous action against workers in Marikana because he had already labeled them as criminals. As stated in the summarized version of Zuma's statement, the Commission has found that Lonmin did not use its best endeavors to resolve the disputes that arose between itself and its workers who participated in the unprotected strike on the one hand, and between the strikers and those workers who did not participate in the strike. It also did not respond appropriately to the threat of and the outbreak of violence. Lonmin also failed to employ sufficient safeguards and measures to ensure the safety of its employees. Lonmin also insisted that its employees who were not striking should come to work, despite the fact that it knew that it was not in a position to protect them from attacks by strikers. Furthermore, Lonmin is involved in prima facie practices of aggressive tax avoidance. The Commission revealed the fact that during the period of workers' strike for the 12,500, Lonmin had dubiously and criminally shifted 1.2 billion to a shell company in Bermuda, whilst the cost of housing 5,500 of its employees would have cost 665 million. Lonmin is also found to have not implemented its social labor plan as is required by the law. This happened when the chairperson of Lonmin Transformation Committee was its non-executive director, Cyril Ramaphosa. The EFF rejects the finding that workers carrying traditional weapons is a criminal offense, which had to be responded to in a manner the police did. Everywhere in South Africa, and many South Africans who practice traditions carry traditional weapons, and there is nothing wrong with that. There is further explanation by the fact that it was only after Marikana Massacre where the Minister of Police tried to outlaw the carrying of traditional weapons by striking workers. The EFF further rejects a recommendation that workers should be charged for activities of the 16th of